Hi, and welcome to episode 4 of the Cart Podcast with me, Sim, where I discuss some of my favourite pieces of entertainment from South Korea. If you want to discuss any of the previous episodes or just talk about your favourite Korean shows, be sure to follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Cart Podcast. In terms of updates, I recently discovered that SoundCloud has only a limited number of storage for a person to upload their music or files or whatever. So I moved my main platform to Anchor, so you can now listen to this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube. So let's move on to this week's episode. Today I'm going to be talking about a more light-hearted drama, and it is called Reply 1988. In Korean, it's known as 응답하라 1988. It aired in November 2015 and has 20 episodes. This drama is the third in its series. There were two previous dramas known as Reply in 1994 and Reply in 1997. Those two dramas are also very good, but Reply in 1988 holds a big place in my heart because I am a really big fan of the 80s generally. I love the songs from the 80s, I love the fashion and the aesthetics at the time, and it just seems like a really nice era to grow up in, even though I was a 90s baby, so it seems quite nice. So seeing the 80s in a Korean seeing the 80s in a Korean perspective seems very insightful, and it made me research more into the history of South Korea at this time as well, which was really nice to know about. Moving on to the cast and crew, so this drama is written by Lee Woo-jung, who also wrote the previous Reply dramas as well as some variety shows that you may know, such as 2 Days and One Night. It's directed by Shin Won-ho. He also directed the previous Reply dramas as well as a very old drama known as Old Miss Diary. In recent years, he also directed Prison Playbook and Hospital Playlist, two dramas which I have not yet seen. Prison Playbook, I think I saw the first episode, but then completely forgot about it. So I will probably watch them sometime in the future. Moving on to the crew, this story basically revolves around a group of friends and their families living in the same neighbourhood known as Sangmun-dong. And they are as follows. There is firstly Lee Hae-ri, who plays Sung Dok-son or Sung Soo-yeon, and Hae-ri is a member of Girls' Day and also appears in dramas such as Entertainer, The Producers, Schoolgirl Detectives. Amongst the neighbourhood friends, she's the only girl, but she's not as bright in school, but has a great character and is very funny to watch. So she lives with her parents as well as her older sister, who she's constantly arguing with, and her younger brother. Their family tend to be not as well off as the other families, and she's basically living in the basement with her whole family of one of the other friends. Next we have Park Bo-gum, who plays Cho-taek. He is very popular, this actor. He appears in dramas such as Love in the Moonlight, Hello Monster, and his character in this drama is that he is an international baduk player. So baduk is also known as Go, and it's a board game involving white and black stones, and there's usually 2 players involved, and this game is quite popular in Asia. Because of his fame in baduk, he has made enough money, and he's already making his money compared to the other friends. Even though he's not as vocal as the others, he is quite close to his neighbourhood friends, and you see that quite a lot. The friends always come around and visit him every time he comes back from a match, which is quite nice. He is an only child and lives with just his dad. The next character we have is Go Kyung-pyo, who plays Sodu. He also appears in dramas such as Chicago Typewriter and also an older drama known as Flower Boys Next Door. He lives with his mum and his younger sister. Then we have Ryu Jun-yeol, who plays Kim Jung-hwan. He appears in dramas such as Lucky Romance, After Reply, and also appears in a lot of films such as Hit and Run Squad and A Taxi Driver. And in this drama he lives with his brother and parents. So his family's house is the best in the neighbourhood because, if I'm not mistaken, they won the lottery, so they ended up buying a bigger property, and it's Doksun and her family that live in the basement below in their house. This character doesn't really share his emotions much, which can be quite frustrating as you keep watching the drama, because you really want him to just show what he's feeling, but he never does, right to the end. And finally we have Lee Dong-hee, who plays Ryu Dong-ryung, and he appears in movies such as Extreme Job, Tacha, Veteran, and I think in this drama he is more of a comedian, and he tends to seek attention more from his parents because his parents are both working and seem to neglect him. So his feelings, he expresses these feelings of rejection by getting into trouble a lot, which is quite funny. So moving on to the plot, there isn't a strict plot with this drama because it's more laid back and it more involves the experience of the time of the 80s, but it just revolves around the stories of the young characters in the drama. So when we first watch the drama, it begins with the greatest hits of the 80s. It first starts off with those in the West and then moves on to what was popular in South Korea at the time. This introduction is very, very cute, and it gripped me instantly because the aesthetic of it just made me think, oh, that seems like such a nice time to watch, and it makes you reminisce your childhood straight away as well. In the plot as well, we know that the year 1988 is a very memorable year for many Koreans because this is when the Olympics were held in Seoul. And we find out as well that Song Dok-sun becomes a flag bearer. She almost doesn't become a flag bearer, but she does in the end, and that was quite nice as well to see. And another part of the opening which I really liked was that the kids are all basically watching TV, and then their parents all call them to have dinner. So when they're all going to their own houses to have dinner, there ends up being a sort of passing around of food going on, where everyone ends up passing food to each other, and in the end, one of the kids makes a joke and says, if we're going to just pass around food, why don't we just eat all together? So that was funny as well. There's a lot of humour in this drama as well. And when there is humour or sarcastic humour or just low-key humour, there always tends to be like a sheep noise when things go on, which makes it even more funny for some reason. But that was nice to watch as well. Throughout the drama, we see different relationships advancing. For example, there's more romance involved. We first see that Song Dok-sun starts to fall for Sonu, and she thinks that he likes him too, but actually Sonu likes Dok-sun's scary sister Bora, which tends to be which is really heartbreaking for Dok-sun because she really thought that she was going to get together with Sonu. We also have a love triangle where Choi Taek and Kim Jung-han both start falling for Dok-sun. Even though Jung-han never explains how he feels, which is very, 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 very frustrating, Choi Taek ends up becoming close to Dok-sun, and they end up being together in the future as well. Another poignant part in this drama as the drama advances is that there were student protests at the time as well, and Bora, Dok-sun's older sister, becomes involved with this, and it becomes quite scary as well because the police end up looking for her, and her parents try and protect her from getting caught. So that was quite that's a topic that I researched about as well, which is quite nice. So the plot itself, as it continues near the end, slowly one by one, each of the families or the kids, they move out of the neighbourhood and get on with their own lives more, which is kind of sad to see, but it's really nice to see how their memories were made over time in this little neighbourhood. So moving on to some more memorable moments of this drama. One moment that I really liked was when Song Duk-sun and her friends were on the bus and they were singing a song, and it was an English song called Nothing's Gonna Change My Love For You by George Benson. But they only could remember certain English parts such as Nothing's Gonna Change My Love For You and also I Love You, which is very, very cute. They mumble everything else, which is so, so funny, because this is what a lot of people do when they're trying to listen to a song in a different language anyway. Like, I don't know about you, but when I'm listening to Korean songs, I only know some Korean words, so I end up mumbling everything else. I related to that on another level. Another part I like is where all the kids are studying together, and they start to move on to the topic of foreign language, and I think it's Sung Sok-son who mentions that she knows Spanish, so she starts singing a song with Ryu Dong-rong, and they end up singing the song Ice Cream Sarang or Ice Cream Love by the singer Im Byung-soo. This is one of my favourite songs of all time. It makes you feel like you're on holiday, and it's such a good song. I really think you should check it out. So once again, that song is called Ice Cream Love or Ice Cream Sarang by the singer Im Byung-soo. I researched more into the song, and I realised that it comes from a song from Mexico in 1982, and it's called Directo al Corazon by Luis Miguel. I'm not sure if I said that right, but I looked at the old song, and it's the same tune and rhythm, but it's all in Spanish, and it's his song, so Im Byung-soo must have taken some part of the Spanish song and put it into this song, which is really nice to see because it helps. This song is basically one of my favourites, and yeah, I love it. So another part that was memorable is that when the mums have spaghetti for the first time, and it shows here that products from the West were starting to be introduced in South Korea for the first time. So it was all very new to them as well. It just looked like probably noodles to them, but it's spaghetti, which is completely different. And they were I think the mums were having an argument with one of the dads, saying it's spaghetti, not noodles, which is really funny. But it's really nice to see how things were starting to change in South Korea at the time as well, and the fact that globalization was becoming bigger, they got to understand and get more things from different countries, which was great. Another part which I really liked was when Jung-hwan's mum leaves for town for a while, and it's only him, his father and his brother, and the three of them together end up being really, really lazy, and they don't clean up after themselves, and you can tell that obviously it's always the mum that's cleaning up around them. So they basically do whatever they want. They take their trousers off, they leave a mess everywhere, and then when they realise that his mum's going to come back soon, they have to quickly tidy everything up. And it's so funny to see them just rushing around to make sure that the house is spotless before she comes back. Another thing I liked about this drama, I think I already mentioned this, is that every time Choi Taek came back in town from his baduk competition, all the other friends came and rushed in to visit him to see how it went and everything. And I found that really, really cute because Choi Taek doesn't speak a lot, but he's really close to his friends, and he opens up to them more than he would do with his friends from school, because he's not close to his friends from school, because he's always going on these competitions. So that was kind of nice to see as well. Another moment I liked was when Duk-sun helps out her brother from a bully, and they all end up at the police station when they all end up fighting together. It ends up being Duk-sun's friends and Duk-sun fighting with the bullies that were bullying her brother. So Duk-sun, her brother, and also the bully end up at the police station. And the bully is kind of sad because when Duk-sun's family visit the police station to collect Duk-sun and her brother, they realise that the bully only has her sister, and they're going through a tough time to make ends meet. So at the end, they all end up having dinner together at Duk-sun's house, even though Duk-sun's family doesn't have enough for themselves either. So that was really nice and wholesome to see. It was very cute to see them help out one another. And this drama as well, after it finished, some of the cast went on a trip to Africa, and it's in a show called Youth Over Flowers. It is such a funny variety show, and I think it's really funny to watch if you really understand the actors and the characters from the drama as well. All I'm going to say about this show is that Park Bo-gum's driving was the definite highlight of the show. That was hilarious. Park Bo-gum's driving. That's all I'm going to say. So, moving on to the themes and meaningful points of this drama, we firstly have, and it becomes obvious as well, that the Olympics in Seoul took place in 1988, which was a very, very, very proud moment for the country. It was a point where South Korea could bring in international attention from around the world. They could show their culture to the other countries as well, which was great. And even though the Olympics took place in Seoul, there was still a lot of political tension. And this was because of the tension between North and South Korea generally. There were a couple of countries at the time, such as North Korea and Cuba, that boycotted the games, and this is also mentioned in the drama as well, because I think Doksun begins to be a flag bearer for a country, but they realise soon after that country is not going to participate, and in the end she ends up being a flag bearer for a different country. We also have the June Democratic Struggle, which is basically the riots and protests that took place in 1987. It was a movement based on democracy, which basically resulted in the Sixth Republic being formed, which is modern South Korea today. In these protests, many students were involved, and this was shown by Sung Duk-sung's older sister Bora. If you want to see, there is a very old article published by the New York Times from November the 4th, 1988, and it speaks about how students were protesting to demand the arrest of the former president Cho Do-hwan, and at this point in time it stated that there were around 20,000 students from the 80 colleges here that were involved in this protest, and so you can see the scale of this protest at the time. So another meaningful point or theme in this drama is the friendship. The friendship between the family and friends of this neighbourhood is shown so well, and it's very, 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 very wholesome. They're just one giant family and they're always helping each other out. And this is expressed right at the start when they're all sharing food with one another, and when the kids are all sitting watching TV, they literally act like siblings around one another. This also moves on to the next point of family troubles, when we see a lot of struggles within the families themselves. For example, there's Song Duk-sun's family. It's evident that they don't have as much money, and then there's also Sunul's family, which Sunul's mother, who's struggling to be a single mother and look after her two kids. In this moment, I remember Choi Taek's father helping out Sunul's mum, which is again friendship again between the families, which is great to see. On a lighter note, we can see the relationship between Doksun and her sister Bora, and you can see that it is a typical sister situation, even though Doksun feels more wronged because she is the youngest. One of the highlights of this drama again was where there was an intense moment where Doksun had taken her sister's jacket without permission, and the whole family were helping Doksun out to try and get that denim jacket, I think it was a denim jacket, back home because she was all the way at school, and her whole family were trying to help Doksun so Bora wouldn't lose it, basically. And moving on to the next topic, we have the OST of this drama. The OST of this drama does make you feel, made me want to look into other songs around the 80s as well, from Korea at the time, which is also great to listen to. I also have a new playlist on my Spotify now because of the songs that I discovered from the 80s. There's also help from Master in the House for that as well, to be honest, but yeah. This OST has a great soundtrack with singers such as Kim Peel, Kim Jung-wan, Oh Hyuk, who's also part of the band Hyuko, and also Park Boram and Noel. Some of my favourite songs from this were Haiwadong, sung by Park Boram, Don't You Worry, 걱정하지 말아요 그대, sung by Lee Jug. I mentioned that as well in episode 2, I think, in Master of the House, where the original singer was mentioned. There's also the song Youth by Kim Phil, and also by Oh Hyuk, A Little Girl, or Sunyo. These songs were one of my favourites from this drama. A fun fact about Huko, they were the first Korean singers I ever saw in concert in the UK, because it is so hard for Korean singers to come over to the UK. So it's a very good memory for me, going to a Huko concert. The first Korean concert I ever went to was Huko. Yay. There were some songs that were not part of the OST but were included in the drama. For example, the song that opened up the show, is a really big favourite of mine as well. It's a song by Shin Hae-chul, and it's called 그대에게, or To You, and it is also part of the album Myself, if you want to check that out as well. Another song that is showing at the start of the drama is a song from A Better Tomorrow, which is a Hong Kong movie, which was very, very popular at the time. And the song from that is very, very deep as well. And also, I've already mentioned this, but the song Ice Cream Love by Im Byung-soo is my top favourites. I love that song so, so much. So, for this drama episode, I'm going to end it on a quote. It's a new topic I've wanted to include in my podcast because I love a good quote, and Korean dramas tend to have such inspirational quotes and such deep quotes, which I really, really like. And even though when times are tough and I'm watching a drama and someone ends up saying something really inspirational and deep, I just think, oh wow, that really touched my heart. So I'm going to end off with a quote from the beginning of this drama, and it goes like this. I'm going to say the Korean, even though my Korean is bad, and the English as well, because it'll make it seem more poignant, I think. But it goes like this. 1988년. The year was 1988. And then it goes like this. 넉넉하지는 않았지만 마음은 따뜻했던 쌀집이 있어. Oh wait, I said it the wrong way around. Oh great, this was the part I was dreading the most in saying this in this podcast, because my Korean speaking skills aren't that great, but I'll say it again. Let me start again. 1988년. The year was 1988. 여전히 냉기 가득했지만 가슴은 뜨거웠고. So it was chilly, but our hearts were fiery or hot. And then it goes like this. 넉넉하지는 않았지만 마음은 따뜻했던 시절이 있었다. And that means we didn't have much, but people's hearts were warm. And that's said by Doksun in the future. So I really hope you enjoyed listening to that quote, because I messed up even though I was reading that point, and I will improve my Korean skills much more in the next episode. But yeah, that's all for this podcast. I really hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed talking about it, because I absolutely love Reply 1988. So have you seen this drama? If you have, what did you think about it? If not, why haven't you seen it? Because it's such a great drama. It's a nice light-hearted drama to watch when you want to just relax and not think about too much, which is great. So yeah, that's the end of this podcast. You can also listen to this podcast on Anchor, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow our Instagram, Car Podcasts, and also subscribe to YouTube. And that's everything from me. So see you soon. Bye-bye.